What's up, YouTube? What's up, Xtreme Gainz family? I'm Chuck. This is Xtreme Gainz. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Thursday, May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo 2022. This is the Amc Gme and SPY Algo Exposed daily update and preparation video for tomorrow, TGIFF and beyond. As always, I hope you had a great day in the market today. I hope you were able to take advantage of this batshit crazy volatility in market that we're in and seeing and make some extreme gains. As always, both Discords absolutely annihilated it today, so I hope you were able to do the same. Crazy day in the market today. Again, red day back downside. They raked everything back down, which we're going to dig into here in a second. I'm going to go over all the regulars that I typically go over, my snake algos for Amc, Gme, and SPY, and some macro comparatives. So with all of that said, let's dig in. On your screen is the unbelievable dead on micro intraday snake algos. On Amc on your left, SPY on your right for today. I am so proud of this shit, you guys. Look at this. It's unreal. It is in its live testing phase right now. I did a back testing phase on it, and then I put a video out last Thursday and talked to you all about it and showed you a portion of it, and I have been live testing it ever since, and every day since then, it has been absolutely deadly. Super proud and super excited to see where this thing goes. After the live testing, we're trying to put a methodology together behind this as far as the application of it to take some of the guesswork out of it. It's going to take some time to do that. So this live testing phase is going to be obviously the longest phase of this to hopefully get this thing nailed down to something really methodical and spot on. So that's what it looked like, excuse me, on Amc and SPY. Here's a close-up of Amc. Amc finished today down 6.55%, down an additional 0.07 in after hours at 1468. As you can see, essentially a candle for candle projection and fulfillment. Unreal today. Dead on this, dead on SPY. Those were the two that I experimented with it today, and they were perfect. So couldn't have asked for anything better from these. I have never in my life seen anything thus far, and I know it's only been, what, 6 days or 5 days, whatever it's been, so accurate as this. I'm hoping that it stays this consecutive and consistent throughout. So that is the micro snake on Amc. The intra-week snakes for Amc. I had two of them due to the previous diversion from the previous snake. And I talked to you all about this last night and the V-shaped recovery and how both of them were, both of the snakes clipped one prior to diversion and 1 day of diversion. Green is day of, blue is prior to. The V-shaped recovery gives me that indication of potentially where to place this. Here's the green one, which is the bullish scenario on here. I did think that potentially this would be up a little higher and price action would be a little higher with both of these, but nonetheless it stayed compressed under here, but it did follow this almost to a T, and on the 1 hour chart, almost candle for candle. It is appearing to be one of two things down here now, according to this, either a diversion or an inverted mirroring of this here. So if this price action were to swing back up around here in the future to come, then I would go ahead and stay with that. Obviously, I'm going to keep it on here for now for those reasons to see if that ends up happening, but that's what it looks like with its projection and fulfillment for today and its potential projection from it going into tomorrow. The other one from the day prior to diversion is the bearish scenario, and there's the V-shaped recovery laid in there, as well as I talked about the previous one last night. I talked about this one potentially doing this consolidation and volatility up here between 16 and 16.50. It stayed suppressed down underneath that, underneath the $16, but as you can see, it essentially ran candle for candle, and here it is currently with its projection and fulfillment today, dead on, and its potential projection moving into tomorrow and beyond. Obviously, generalized perspective, downside on this one. Generalized perspective of the next movement on the green is upside. Like so. So that is what I'm looking at with the intra-week snakes for AMC. Excuse me. The macro comparative for AMC is from the macro descending wedge prior to the January 2021 run-up, and it's the macro double-double. I had talked to you about the two placements of this bottom. This bottom here is actually from here. I've explained it in previous videos. For context, please go back one video. You'll hear the explanation. I'm not going to keep going over that. I talked about this potentially converging back within this, where was it? Right there. In this scenario or this placement, that this converged right back with the original macro comparative of this macro double-double. So therefore, it would not be needed to be used in this manner on top of that. So with that being said, this is the one macro comparative that I am looking at, and projection, possible and potential projection and fulfillment as it has now, in my opinion, merged back with it. Obviously, you can see its projection and fulfillment today with this downside move, and now potentially, if I'm looking at this the right way, potentially short-term move back upside to this area here, and then a rejection back down. And I'm going to try to refrain from using price levels anymore when it comes to these things, and just let you be the interpreter of what that may or may not be. So there it is, and that's what you see potentially as a projection moving past tomorrow as well. Obviously, generalized perspective is downside. Then the second position I had talked to you about this potentially being in is like so, and the projection and fulfillment in this manner was that this, well, first off, back here was that this bottom got put in up here above the macro descending third, that it held this price action up and it put it in as a mirrored inversion. And then here we are projecting and fulfilling throughout, and you can see the fulfillment into today for this downside, and it appears to me like right now we would be meeting up at a diverging point for the two of these, where potentially tomorrow, maybe not, maybe next week, where it would pick a direction and follow either this one up or this one down. And that would mean that the bottom, if it went up, the bottom is already in, and then potentially this would be future movement. Whereas if it went back downside to fulfill this macro bottom down here, then that's what we would get. And then potentially and hopefully the upside move after the bounce off of the megaphone support. Now, with that intact like that, I want you to look at, and I drew attention to this last night as well. This inadvertently happened, but the intra-week snake, the green one, is the exact replica on a smaller time frame rather than the 4-hour macro. This is on the 1 hour, can actually be viewed on the 15-minute as well. And this would give, I believe, for myself, an indication of movement prior to the macro diverting point here on a smaller time frame as to potentially which one we might be following moving forward. Excuse me. So that's how I'm going to be using them. Obviously, blue is blue, green is green. So that's AMC in its entirety. GME had two snakes as well because of the previous diversion, and this snake here going into today was indicating upside potentially, and it diverted to downside. I had clipped this one prior to yesterday and said I was anticipating a potential downside move, and I wanted to stay out in front of this thing if possible, and that's why I had it on there in last night's video. And this is the one that had fulfilled today with the diversion to the downside. Here is the projection and fulfillment from it today, and potential future projection and fulfillment from it moving into tomorrow and beyond. Then SPY. The macro comparative for SPY is the red one. It is from the 0809 correction and crash, and it is in what I've called the extended version. And we are right here in this. And the projection from the macro comparative and fulfillment of it is still intact. It is a consolidation in an ascending manner, and that is what it had did, or had done, had did. The hell are you talking about? Had did. This is what it had did here, and this is what it's gonna had do potentially moving forward. That's what I would be looking for from the macro comparative. Then I talked to you all about the snake last night. Briefly, we reevaluated today, this morning, in my premium Discord live stream, a positioning of this that would make a little more sense, that would project downside. I did have a version of this on the update and prep video last night that would project this immediate downside, and that is what it gave us today. So this snake is currently still intact right now with that fulfillment of it. The projection and fulfillment of it is what you see there with this downside move, and the potential future projection and fulfillment is going into tomorrow and beyond is what you see there. Then there was the possibility that if price action had diverted from this, with it being in this location, and that upside move yesterday diverted from it, I would use the same tactical approach that I use typically, and that is clipping the day prior to diversion and the day of diversion to use for my potential next snake. This was the day before and prior to diversion. The projection and fulfillment from it as well as spot on, the downside move, and now this consolidation and volatility here, what looks to be going into tomorrow and potentially beyond. And then you see the upcoming projection from it if it were to continue to fulfill. I also want to take note that it does essentially follow the red macro comparative as well to a certain extent. A little more volatile, but it does follow the macro comparative as well. Then there was the day of diversion, which was the move to the upside, and its position was like this, and it did project and fulfill here into the morning with the downside move. However, the upside move did not fulfill, did not come to fruition here, and we are flattening off with after hours now in here. Is there a chance that if this, I mean, obviously if this went in an absolute beeline directly back up, I would still consider this intact. So I'll leave it on here for that purpose shortly for the time being here going into tomorrow, and if it doesn't, I will probably invalidate this at that point. But it did, I talked about not this projecting this downside move and not thinking that it would all happen in pre-market, which it didn't. Some of it did, but it ended up fulfilling the rest of it in open market here today. So I will leave that one on the chart for the time being, just to keep an eye on moving forward, like I said, into tomorrow, and then we'll invalidate if it does not fulfill in that heavy bull way. And real quick, last but not least, the micro intraday snake algo on SPY today is this one here. A little bit more nuanced than AMC, but nonetheless, it was spot on with its projection and fulfillment to the downside, then the consolidation, and then the second downside move after that first push down, and then the bounce to the upside right at close. So that was it. Again, super proud of that, super excited about that moving forward. That is all I have for AMC, GME, and SPY currently for this update and prep video. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. Do y'all's thing. I would appreciate it if you'd like the video and comment on the video like always. A quick reminder, I will be live here tomorrow, scheduled at 2 p.m. for the last 2 hours of market for the Beer 30 weekly wind down like we always do. Come by, hang out, have a drink, kick back for the last 2 hours with us, and close the week out with us tomorrow. from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. However, if something were to pop off crazy to the upside and or the downside, and just for the record, we almost came out today, but I let it go. If we would have breached the downside any further, we probably would have come out. But we went ahead and got caught up and grabbed the bounce, so we didn't. However, if we were to go catastrophic to the downside or bullish up to the upside, we would all come out here and live stream together like we have in the past. So that's everything I have. I appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the weekly wind down, the Beer 30 weekly wind down here on YouTube and on Twitch. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. Talk to you tomorrow. Later.